Funding for AARP Alaska comes from the State of Alaska Division of Banking and Securities, Senior Citizen Support Services, and AARP. In today's program, we'll learn about employment programs and educational benefits available to Alaska's veterans. Now here's your host, Ann Seacrest.
Hello everyone and welcome to AARP Alaska. Today our guest is Verdi Bowen, Director of the Office of Veterans Affairs. Verdi, thank you so much for being with us today.
Well, thank you, Ann, for
In
having
fact,
me.
Welcome back.
Oh, yes.
It's been a couple years since you've been with our program, and after being in rehearsal here a couple minutes, I can tell our audience that things have greatly changed. But first of all, I want to start off with the new Veterans booklet that you have out, and I thought your welcome page was wonderful. And I do want to start by sharing the opening paragraph with our audience, and it's worth reading. Often our society likes to label groups with titles. It is impossible for me to combine only one or two words that adequately describe the Alaska veteran. They volunteer under the umbrella of war. They stand in the gap when others will not. They stay in the fight when most would give up. They suffer injuries that would put most people out of action, and in the end are willing to do it all over again for their love of country and for those who live in it. Tell me, those are your words. Tell me the origin of that quote.
Well, in 2009, I had a young soldier come into my office, and she was trying to stay on active duty. She had lost one of her legs in a roadside bombing, and first of all, to this day, I don't know which leg it was, because her remark was, I want you to try and figure out which one. And I couldn't understand why she wanted to stay on active duty. And I questioned her. I said, well, you know, they're going to allow you to leave the military and provide you with a disability and everything will be okay. And she goes, no. She says, I want to stay in. She says, I can still contribute. And I thought that was something that was really unique for someone to come to me and ask that. And second of all, you know, she was fighting pretty hard to stay on active duty, even with the loss of a limb. And then I had to go back and question why she was doing it. You know, in my mind, I started looking at other veterans that I worked with on a day-to-day basis. And several veterans would come to me and ask to join the military and see if there was something that they could waive. They had health issues themselves, and they were trying to waive those issues so they could get back on active duty. And it really came down to one core value that I remembered most when I was in the service, and it was service before self. They were looking for the better good of all mankind instead of just themselves. Whether they had lost a limb or whether they were too ill to move, they still were willing to contribute. And it made me think about what it was that these people went through, just like suffering injuries that others would actually lay up in bed probably. They continued to push forward and want to contribute. And it really encourages me, and it actually encouraged me then to write that down and use that statement as I thought of them.
Very inspirational. As I mentioned at the top of the program, your office has grown. How many people were in your office in 2009 compared to today?
Well, in 2009 there was me, and there was a few service officers that were housed out of the vet center, but it was mainly just me. I was the only state employee. And since that time, we have moved forward. We now have 17 service officers located around the state in Anchorage, Fairbanks, Wasilla, Kenai, and Juneau. And we've added 3 more staff. And we've also moved off of Fort Richardson to a centralized location in Anchorage, which has allowed us to serve veterans more. We went from serving around 9,000 veterans a year to 47,000 veterans.
That's amazing. The numbers are amazing. I also wanted to ask you about, there's been an increase in your tribal veteran representatives. Tell me about the tribal veteran representatives.
The Tribal Veteran Representative Program is just one of the most outstanding programs that we have in the state, and it shows the true partnership between the state of Alaska and the federal VA. The federal VA actually is the financer of the tribal veteran representatives, and we partner with them to help bring veterans in, or representatives in, for training. And what they are is they're the largest volunteer corps, you could say, in the nation that are trained to help veterans for a specific purpose. We have 211 of them, and they're like basic service officers in the communities, and they help the veterans fill out their 1010 EZs to get into the VA healthcare system. They will help veterans fill out benefits forms that they have within the VA system and help them get lost records. And the great thing about them is they know who their veterans are within the communities.
In the small communities, everyone knows who everyone else
That's
is.
right.
So, and in particular in Alaska, it's so important where communities may not be on the road system.
That's correct, and what makes it very difficult for us, it's so expensive to get out to we have 161 communities off the Alaskan road system. And in order to bring equity for those veterans that live in those communities, we need to get them their benefits that they've earned. And it's very hard unless they can drive to a location. And with having the TVRs in those communities, it gives us a leg up when we go out to visit those veterans in those communities to help them. And we do travel all across Alaska. We've hit most of the 348 communities across the state with service officers or with tribal veteran representatives.
So suffice to say, the enrollment in the VA has gone up.
Yes, we started off with around 20,000 veterans, and we're now at 31,000 veterans enrolled in the VA system. It's still difficult getting veterans to sign up, but still we do it one person at a time in every community.
Let's talk about employment benefits that are available for Alaska's veterans. And let's talk about the job centers around the state.
Well, we have 21 job centers around the state that veterans can walk into, and they'll provide them services to write resumes. They will help them do placement testing, and they will give them they'll give him help in the form of job search guidance. And the great thing about it is 4 of the centers are set up with full-time veteran representatives that are in there, and the rest of the service centers are trained to help the veterans as the veterans come in.
Now we have a little slide here showing the following services that are available to the veterans, everything from job search guidance to career counseling to resume assistance. And people can go online and check it out at www.jobs.alaska.gov/veterans. So there's quite a bit of help and some workshops as well.
That is correct. And also on top of this, we have a contract person, a federal contract person that's in the state that is sort of an augment to this program. And he is Heroes to Hired program, and he helps transitioning National Guard, reserves, and active duty to help find jobs too as well. And he is located in the Mat-Su borough, but he's all over the state. He doesn't have a centralized office. If you contact my office, we can reach him. And he has been very diligent in helping transitioning veterans to gain employment.
Wonderful. Another topic I wanted to ask you about is military service for state retirement. If you could explain what that is.
Well, military credit for state retirement is that when we have a veteran that has served active duty or in the Guard and Reserves, they can purchase up to 5 years of service time to add to their retirement time. So if you're in the retirement system in Tier 1, 2, or 3, purchasing 5 years is a lot. It actually will help you receive a higher retirement check. Now, the only thing that is not included in that is if you've already retired from active duty and are receiving a federal check, then you're not able to purchase that 5 years. And that goes with reason because you already are receiving a retirement.
Sure. Let's talk about the educational benefits that are available to our veterans. Are there fair number of educational benefits?
Oh yes, we have, under the federal program, we have two programs that are just, you'll hear me say several times that the GI Bill that we have today, the post 9/11 GI Bill, is the best thing since the GI Bill of World War II, because it pays at a level that most people would only dream of. It pays a monthly stipend. You know, in some places it'll pay you up to $2,000 a month. It'll pay for your books, your fees, and it'll pay for most of the things that you encounter within the state university that we have in Alaska. And to give you an idea, before the post 9/11 GI Bill, the state of Alaska received $4 million for their veterans within the state education system. All of our universities together, along with vocational rehabilitation, receive now $64 million. So it's a huge increase.
So it went from $4 million to $64 million?
To $64 million, yes. And the great thing about that is what we're doing is that we're training our veterans to be more, I don't want to say more productive, but they're getting the tools to get the best job they possibly can to help them sustain a quality of life that is better than most could wish for them.
Now, is this educational benefit only for the UA system?
No, the post 9/11 GI Bill will work for trades. It'll work for the University of Alaska. It'll work for any of the private schools that we have within the state of Alaska. And the other thing that's part of this program is that the post 9/11 GI Bill, if you served after 2008 and you're still on active duty, you can transfer your unused education benefits to your dependents. So we also have dependents using the post 9/11 GI Bill in our Alaskan system as well. And it also pays the fees and the books and the education tuition costs. So,
do we know how many individuals are taking advantage of that currently in our system?
Currently, throughout all the education systems in Alaska, we average about 6,400 a month are utilizing these systems. And along with this education system, that's just the post 9/11 GI Bill that I have touched on, we also have other education systems. So if you have a family member, if you're the active duty member and you pass away on active duty, then your spouse or your children are offered free tuition in the University of Alaska system for an undergraduate degree. But the most important thing to remember on that is the person has to be a Alaska resident.
Very good. And I've got a slide up here that shows contact numbers for UAA, UAF, and UAS.
Yes.
And we'll be back with our guest, Verdi Bowen, right after this break.
If you are a veteran and you haven't registered with the VA, do it today. In addition to health benefits, the VA administers a variety of services that provide financial and other forms of assistance to service members, veterans, their dependents, and survivors.
We're back with Verdi Bowen, Director of the Office of Veterans Affairs. And Verdi, in this section, this seems kind of odd to talk about real estate and veterans here in the state of Alaska. There's a section in your new handbook called Real Estate, and I'm pleased to see there's a lot of great information. I was particularly pleased to see that Alaska Housing Finance Corporation administers the Veterans Mortgage Program. Tell me more about that.
Well, the Alaska Housing Finance Corporation has an awesome program for first-time home buyers, especially veteran first-time home buyers. And what they do is that if the prevailing rate is 4% and the home loan is, say, $100,000, the first $50,000 would be 1% lower than 4, it would be 3%, and then the next would be 4. And where that really comes into play is it really helps the veteran get a lower payment over the longer period of time. The Alaska Housing Finance Corporation also offers more services than just the home loan program, because the veteran can go over there and they will also help them, instruct them on the ins and outs of home loans too as well. So if they just take time to stop by their office or give them a phone call, and I know that you have their number, but they are a wealth of information for our veterans. And a lot of times this program is overlooked because you'll go to a lending establishment and they have so many loan programs out there, they will forget to tell the veteran about this program.
Let's show that information while you're talking about, and it is up on our slide here. Talk about again who qualifies for this program.
The person that qualifies for this program is a veteran that has not purchased a home before, and it'll be their first time. It's just like a lot of the first-time home buyer programs that most people are aware of that we have out there throughout Alaska. But this is much better because this is worked in conjunction with your your home loan, your GI Bill home loan program.
All right, let's go to our next slide, which is veterans programs and DNR. And the first topic is the Veterans Land Discount. Tell me about that.
Well, the Veterans Land Discount is, DNR has several pieces of property they bring forth for auction throughout the year. And a veteran is able to purchase a piece of land at 25% less than what the rate of the property is appraised at. And that is actually the current rate. So it's not inflated because DNR doesn't inflate its property value. So
but it has to be recreational or residential.
That's
land.
correct, recreational, residential, and you have to do improvements on the land as you have it. And the other thing too about this land that makes this so great is you got to be very selective because you only get one shot. You only can use this 25% discount once.
One time, and the other requirement is be sure you have your DD 214.
That is correct. Without a DD Form 214, then this is one of those programs through the statute states that you have to have a DD Form 214, which reflects your discharge.
And then the Veterans Land Sale Preference, this is land that's sold at auction. Is there any special qualifications with that?
The qualification is actually the same. You have to have your DD Form 214, and the land sale preference will come in and you'll be able to purchase that land prior to it going to auction. So
very good. And then we should note that there is a 2-year camping pass available for disabled veterans.
The 2-year camping pass is really an awesome program. It allows you to camp in any state park that we have in the state for free, and all you have to do is take your disability document down to DNR. Just find the DNR, the local DNR closest to you, and they'll provide that pass for you, and it'll go in the window of your vehicle.
Very good. And we're putting up on the screen right now some contact information for the DNR offices both in Anchorage and in Fairbanks. And there's also another area, there's property tax exemptions for disabled veterans.
This is one of the best benefits. I don't want to say the best, but this is one of the benefits most sought after in the state of Alaska by veterans. Those veterans that are 50% or greater disabled will receive up to $150,000 tax exemption on their homes. And the good thing about this program is that as you go from borough to borough, they have added to this. Some boroughs it could be 170, some could be all, depending on where the veteran is living. But it's so important for the veteran to go down to the tax assessor's office and ensure that they first qualify for the loan, fill out the documents required for that, and get that thoroughly documented, because it really will reduce their tax liability and their home payment.
And it's important to note that each borough is different qualifications and so
Yes.
on, and they should check with their local municipal tax assessor. The other is, you had mentioned that in addition to AHFC, Alaska Housing Finance Corporation, there are some federal home loan programs available to our veterans.
Yes, we have a lot of home loan programs that are eligible, that veterans are eligible for through their service. And it's not just active duty. Active duty can use this while they're still on active duty. That's what makes it so great. National Guard can use it after they have served their first term of enlistment. And then your veterans are eligible for this. And this virtually will put them into a house with no money down, and we'll give them the rate that is set for the VA home loan program. Also, a part of this program, it'll cover homes and condos, and just about anything you can think of. You just need to go ask and see what is qualified. They also do construction loans as well. There's another section into this home loan program which will be on the number that you'll show on the screen, which is to talk about the Native Home Loan Program. That's something new. We just signed just a few months ago in Metlakatla, and I'm hoping to move that across the state. And that will allow you to get a direct loan from the VA for areas where you have homes on land trust.
And we've got that toll-free number right up
Yes.
on our screen. Let's talk about the special license plates that are available to our veterans. And one of the, I'm going to show the first one that's available. This is the plate that's available to recipients of the Purple Heart, the combat wounded. The second one is, and I've never seen this in the state of Alaska, veterans who have been prisoners of war. The third is veterans who are survivors of Pearl Harbor. And the last, and I'd like you to explain what this is, Gold Star families. What is a Gold Star family?
A Gold Star family is a mother, father, a spouse, a sister or brother of a member that died on active duty. Generally, they die in conflict or they die while they're serving their nation somewhere. And with the report of death, and which will reflect the individual's service, the family member can go to the DMV and they will be issued this plate. And we have a few of these around the state. When you see this plate, this is one that you need to stop and thank the person for the individual service, because this person really did pay the ultimate sacrifice.
Yes. Let's talk about the vet centers in Alaska. What are vet centers?
Veteran centers are one of the most, I want to say it's one of the greatest places to go for a combat veteran. If you're a combat veteran, you can go to the Veteran Center and you can receive counseling, reintegration services, and your family can go there as well. The start of the Veterans Center, they started off as Vietnam Veterans Center, so sometimes people will call them that. And it was because when the Vietnam veteran returned from the Vietnam War, they did not have a place to go and receive the kind of counseling that they needed for their post-traumatic stress. Matter of fact, at that time, they didn't even know what to call it. And so since that time, we've come a long ways, and we provide these centers. We have 4 of them in the state. We have one.
You got them up on the screen.
You got them up on the screen. Mm-hmm. We have 4 in the state, and we're really blessed to have these centers. They have great clinicians there. They have psychologists and licensed clinical social workers that work in the clinics and will help veterans reintegrate with their families, reintegrate with their jobs, and give them the tools that they need to be very successful in life.
And you had mentioned too that many of them are combat veterans themselves who are at the vet centers.
Yes, matter of fact, the majority of the people in the centers are combat veterans.
I want to give you a chance to talk about James Hastings.
Well, James Hastings is my Heroes to Hired manager, and he is one of the well, he's a wonderful person to have in this program. He's also involved with Healing Hearts, where they take combat wounded veterans and provide them with bear hunts, you know, the Alaskan experience to help them to heal from their injuries, not only externally but internally as well. And along with that big heart that James has, he helps them get jobs and place them in jobs programs, whether it's through apprenticeship programs or through college. He's usually the first one. You know, like I had told you earlier, James is one of those people that's usually been there just before you arrived, or is the last one to leave after you leave wherever you're going. So he's a great asset for our veterans in the state.
So again, he's coordinating the Heroes to Hired programs.
Yes.
Very good. And I wanted to come back to a question, or a point that you made. You moved your office off of Fort Richardson. What has that done? Was there a reason why your offices moved off Fort Rich?
Yes, when we were located on Fort Richardson, or when first of all, it was just me operating off of Fort Richardson. The problem that I had is that veterans that could not gain access to the military installation due to the heightened security, they might have a bad conduct discharge, or they might have received a DUI or had some family marital problems or whatever that would preclude them from getting onto the installation.
Okay.
And I was averaging about 1,200 veterans a year that I would go go meet them somewhere off of the installation because they couldn't gain access. Once we moved to the new location, we increased that walk-in to around 10,000 people.
Quite a difference.
So it's quite a difference.
I wanted to put up your contact information that's on the screen. We've got a toll-free number, and your email is there as well. I wanted to thank our guest, Verdi Bowen, Director of the Alaska Office of Veterans Affairs. AARP is a nonprofit, nonpartisan member organization with more than 90,000 members in Alaska. AARP is dedicated to enhancing the quality of life for all as we age. We lead positive social change and deliver value to members through information, advocacy, and service. Thank you for watching AARP Alaska.
Funding for AARP Alaska comes from the State of Alaska Division of Banking and Securities, Senior Citizen Support Services, and AARP.